Some nations write history. Some nations are history itself. The Turks are one of those nations. Today, we will examine the history of the Turks in depth. In the freezing nights of the steppe, around the flickering fire, a nation was taking shape. This people, who saw the sky as their father and the earth as their mother, did not fight against nature, they became one with it. Every child grew up on horseback, every youth was raised with a warrior's spirit. Over time, this spirit became not only a force of war, but the energy of an entire civilization. The Turks were not merely makers of history, they were its guiding force. And now, this documentary follows the path of that great journey, from the winds of the steppe to the light of the Republic. The origins of the Turks were planted in the heart of Central Asia, in the shadow of the Ottoman Mountains. They became one of the first peoples to domesticate the horse, work with iron, and turn warfare into an art. Each tribe lived in harmony with nature, yet they were united by a common belief, the sky god. This belief became the foundation of the Turkish way of life, freedom, honor, and courage. Even Chinese sources wrote of their discipline and bravery with admiration. For the Turks, homeland was not just land, it was honor. The bonds between tribes were the secret ties that held them together. And for the first time on the stage of history, they appeared as a people representing order. Mehmed Khan went down in history as the first great strategist of Turkish history. He organized the army according to the decimal system, a structure that became the precursor to modern military organization. His victories against China, achieved through strict discipline, cemented the legend of the Turks. The belief that the land is sacred laid the foundation for all future Turkish states. The Huns created a balance of power in Asia. Even the construction of the Great Wall of China was driven by fear of them. But, as with every great power, internal conflicts divided them. Some migrated westward, this migration left such deep marks that it even shaped European history. The legacy of the Huns lived on for centuries as a symbol of courage and discipline. They were the heroes who wrote the first page of Turkish history. The Gokturks were the first to use the name Turk as a state title. Under the leadership of Buman Kağan, this empire brought order back to Central Asia. Ottoman became the sacred center of the Turks. The belief in the sky god symbolized the legitimacy of their rule, the mandate comes from God. The Orkan inscriptions marked both the birth of the first Turkish alphabet and the emergence of national consciousness. The words of Bilge Kağan and Tanyakuk serve as the wise memory of a nation. The Turkish nation is the only nation that can lose its state and then rebuild it. The Gokturks were not just a political power, they initiated a philosophical transformation. Even though they fell to Chinese intrigues, they never lost their identity. From the ashes of the Gokturks, the Uyghur civilization would rise. The Uyghurs were one of the most culturally rich peoples in Turkish history. As the first Turkish community to adopt a settled lifestyle, they built cities and became known for their art. They used paper and printing before China did. The beliefs of Manichaeism and Buddhism shaped their way of life. By controlling trade routes, they directed the wealth of Central Asia. They made great strides in science, literature, and architecture. Their peaceful policies proved that the Turks were not only warriors but also a civilized nation. However, they were destroyed by Kyrgyz attacks. Still, their culture left a lasting mark on the spirit of Central Asia. The Uyghurs went down in history as the ambassadors of Turkish civilization. The migration that began after the fall of the Uyghurs was the rebirth of a people. The Kipchaks, Oghuz, Karluks, Pecheneg, each moved in different directions. Along their migration routes, they carried their culture and adopted new identities. From the Caucasus to the Balkans, the presence of the Turks began to be felt. These migrations were not just about changing land, they were about carrying civilization. Each tribe left traces of Turkish culture wherever they went. The mounted steppe warriors began to enter European legends. This period marked the moment when the Turks became a global people. Their encounter with Islam would completely reshape their destiny. One faith would redefine an entire nation. The Karakhanids were the first major Turkish state to embrace Islam. The conversion of Sadık Bugra Khan marked a turning point in Turkish history. From that point on, not only battlefields but also madrasas became the stage for the Turks. The belief that knowledge is power took root. Al-Kashgari showcased the power of the Turkish language to the entire Islamic world. Yusuf has Hajib guided Turkish thought by documenting the ethics of governance. Mosques, cities, and centers of learning flourished. The Turkish identity merged with Islamic civilization. This synthesis would inspire the great states of the future. The Turkish spirit was now forged through both faith and knowledge. The Seljuks represent a major leap in Turkish history. Founded after the victory at Dandanakan, this state quickly became the ruler of Asia. By protecting the Caliph, Tugrul Bey assumed leadership of the Islamic world. With the Battle of Manzikert, they opened the gates of Anatolia to the Turks. Anatolia is now the Turkish homeland. Alp Arslan. These words determined the destiny of a nation. The madrasas established by Nizam al-Mulk became centers of knowledge. Seljuk architecture represented the pinnacle of Islamic art. During the reign of Malik Shah, science, astronomy, and law reached their golden age. The Seljuks laid the foundation for the land where the Ottomans would rise. The Anatolian Seljuks built peace in the lands they conquered. Konya, Kayseri, and Shivas transformed into cities of knowledge and art. Caravanserais facilitated trade, while madrasas spread knowledge. During the reign of Sultan Alaeddin Kikabad, prosperity reached its peak. However, the Mongol invasions shattered this order. As Seljuk authority weakened, Anatolia fragmented into beyliks. Each beylik developed its own cultural values. The Ottomans, though small, were a beylik with vision. Sprouting in Sagat, this beylik would soon grow into an empire. Anatolia was becoming the new center of Turkish history. The Ottoman Empire was a world empire born from a small beylik. The justice of Osman Gazi, the order of Orhan Gazi, and the genius of Mehmed the Conqueror. Each sultan expanded the empire further. Sultan Mehmed the Conqueror closed one era and opened another by conquering Istanbul. Sultan Suleiman the Magnificent became a symbol of justice. The Ottomans maintained peace and order across 3 continents. Art, science, and tolerance symbolized this era. However, as Europe modernized, the Ottomans turned inward. Wars and rebellions weakened the empire. Yet, the Ottomans remain etched in history as the state of justice, in golden letters. After centuries of wars, the Turkish nation was exhausted. But a hero was born in Anatolia, Mustafa Kemal Ataturk. He lifted a nation in despair back onto its feet. Victories were won at Sakarya and Dumlupınar. Ankara became the heart of the resistance. When the Republic was proclaimed, the world was astonished. An empire had fallen, yet the nation survived. Ataturk restored sovereignty to his people. Sovereignty unconditionally belongs to the nation. Education, science, and women's rights were reshaped through reforms. The Turkish nation was reborn, this time as a pioneer of the modern era. The early years of the Republic were challenging, but the faith was strong. Ataturk's vision lifted a nation from the ashes. Language reform, industrialization, and advances in culture and education began. Turkish women stepped into politics and science. Over time, Turkey became a regional power. Connections with brotherly Turkish states were re-established. The Turkic Council carries this unity into the future. Today, Turks excel not only in the military but also in science, art, and technology. Even in the digital age, the Turkish spirit remains the same, brave, faithful, and free. History is being written anew with the Turks. History began with the Turkish nation, and it continues with the Turkish nation. From the steppes of Central Asia to the Republic of Turkey. This is not only the story of a nation, but of humanity's determination. The Turks knew how to rise again from every fall. They forged iron, built civilizations, and carried hope. Today, when a Turkish child looks to the sky, they see the traces of their ancestors in that endless blue. For the Turkish nation walks not only toward its past, but toward its future. Whenever history is written, there will always be a Turk among its lines. This is not an end. It is the continuation of the eternal march of the Turks. If you were inspired by the story of the Turks in this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next episode. History lives on as long as it is told.